So this would be the beginning, then there's this end of the auction. And then,
Glacier.
Glacier.
well, I would think after this, all the energy that you have collected in the auction should go into an improvisation. Because it would be totally against the feeling that suddenly then there would be the glacier. I think you would need to, the auction is ended, but the music that came out of the auction is not ended, and that generates a kind of improvisation.
So maybe what could be effective, I think it's if you all made that sound, you all joined together, eventually, vendu pour $465, and then you start again. You know, I would just end, close it, whatever.
The bass
Just
drum
a
will
break,
help
and
because.
then you would start
when
again.
We start, yes.
Here's what you bought.
Yeah.
Maybe somehow during that improvisation, we can bring the volume and the energy back down to a level that we can start the glacier with.
Yeah, it would be like counterintuitive, like we're hearing an
You mean-
Well,
intensity.
there's something
At
very
the very
intense that
end,
happens, but
right.
that it transitions.
Right.
But why can't you do that after the auction? I think the
That's what I
climax
meant.
of the auction is the WOM. And then you could continue with the improvisation and then bring it down to the glacier.
That's what I
Yeah.
meant.
That's what
Oh, that's what you
That's
meant.
what
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant before. Sorry. That's what I
Okay, I understood that should be during the auction.
No. Just following up on the idea that you said, just to bring it down and then start with
Yeah,
the,
okay.
rather than having a break
Yeah.
and starting with
Yeah,
it, that we
exactly.
do integrate it.
Well, and maybe, I don't know, but maybe a good way to bring it down would be if after the auction, $85, we all join. And then eventually we leave so that there's only one of us left. And we start building the glacier from one person, one sound, or two, but you know,
But
that,
since-
because,
But we just did that with the auction, if we start with one note and we build that from one to many, we could also just come down all to a very soft volume and start.
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Just not to repeat the same pattern.
Yeah, because otherwise, how would we transition again into the next? It could be a very natural thing instead of having to have another,
Build up.
yeah, or theatrical thing saying now. Like it could just go seamlessly from after the bass drum.
Jess, did you play any particular glacier sound or something like that?
I don't remember, but I don't think so. There wasn't a particular sound.
But there could be some kind of
There could be a
scraping or,
particular- yeah.
you know, graveling sound that you make, which indicates that now the glacier has started.
Yeah.
When the low volume, because in the glacier you were the signal person, right?
Yeah.
You were indicating signals.
And I remember it was very soft at the beginning, really, that was one of the interesting
Yeah.
things was that we were
It's very-
all playing, but it was very soft.
Exactly, that's why it's just a low gravel, a very, very soft gravelly sound. Yeah, something like this at the beginning.
I mean, I think what I had before was something like this, but just.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll save. I'll not do that anywhere else. Yeah.
Was
Oh,
that-
okay, yeah.
If that's okay. Yeah.
Was that the wind escaping from the bass drum? That's-
Yes.
Sounds you never hear.
But should.
You know, we can either do it via, you know, the old miming it, or we can do it where we actually enact it. What would you guys like to do?
In my mind, it was where we were retelling it, just like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think retelling
Yeah.
is kind of, because it's not,
We're
it
not
would segue
actors.
in a way better, I think, into the talk.
Well, you could get a phone call on your phone.
I could get a call, you could call.
And because everybody's in the same room, we would get all sides of the conversation because everybody's here. But it will still be a real call on your phone.
That's true. Remind me not to put it on, like, no notification. That's fine.
So Terry and Gabrielle call you.
Yeah.
But I there's two ideas right now that I don't see how they fit. There's the like composer talk thing where that would be more like a after the fact, like, okay, so this is what we did, this is our process was and then I don't see that working with a phone call at all. Like the phone call is more like a
Talk
reenactment.
after.
Like I think
Yeah.
there's something there that doesn't gel. I don't know if
So we're not introducing Deborah, she starts her talk, and then at some point, we're gonna interrupt with something? Is that? what-
Yeah,
I thought,
either a
I'm just
co-
trying to understand what you were describing to us.
Yeah, that's the crux of the matter, I think.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whether
You could
it's-
also print it in the program and say, you have auction calls, glacier, so piece number 1, auction calls, piece number 2, glacier. Piece number 3, Deborah Carruthers. Composition by Terry Ron and Damu. And piece number 4, whatever we call it.
I think you called it the finale.
Finale, all that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Original.
it was, it started out with Allegro. So you described the Symphonia Apis as being where it was the form, the Allegro,
Yeah.
that is scherzo
Yeah.
finale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could,
That, we could still keep that if you want, it was just a whimsy by me, but, but I like, so if we do that in the program, then we don't need to introduce Deborah.
that's, yeah.
The piece is Deborah Carruthers, that is in the program, it's composed by, and then, of course, if we maintain the idea of composition, actually, it would be nice that you have a score that you base your talk on.
Well, that's good, because then I can use this is not the final notebook. I have a notebook where it's sort of like, did I do them this way in here at all? No, I did not.
It doesn't have to be an actual score, but it needs to be kind of
No.
a thing that you carry, a book that says
Yeah.
Deborah Carruthers, Gabrielle Damu, Terry Ron in big on the cover that you take and that you open up and then you start to speak. You know, something like that. I mean, if you want to carry this idea that it's a composition very first, and then there may be nothing in the book because you speak, but it's still this kind of a formal idea of a score, of a registered composition.
Or it could be the title, I don't know what the video is, or what the video content that you were gonna show on the screen is, but it could also just be.
The video, well, what I was thinking was if I was doing it as a talk, like a artist talk in a sense, that I would just show some of the images that go along with some of the research that I did.
So the first image could just be the title, your
Exactly.
name composed by us, and then
Yeah.
people
Yeah, actually,
understand.
that would be an easy way, an easy entry. I like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea of being like overzealous, how do you pronounce that?
Zealous.
So like we actually write like, registered, number 256,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
copyright, like really like stupid. Like nobody writes that on their scores except like people that are very proud to be so proud of it. It would be.
Oh, yes,
Well,
my last royalty check is.
But I just wanna, when does the idea of that live translation come in? Like when we were thinking of if
That-
she speaks in English,
That's
that
the
we
end
kind
of her talk.
It's at the end, okay.
I mean, in
Yeah.
the last thing we talked about last was that it would be in the end of the talk.
Mhm.
And that would transition into a fast piece of some kind.
Oh, okay, I think I have an idea about how to
Mhm.
bring us in. So at some point, it could also almost be us intervening as composers and be like, no, this is when we come, like, this isn't when we come
Yeah.
in. Like, you had to stop at bar, 120, and this is our part now, or something, and then I don't know. this kind of,
Like a
Well,
line correction.
here's the other thing too that I had been thinking, that, you know, in terms of a composition, compositions are fairly directive, right?
yeah.
So it was one of the things that I was thinking about, where I have this, the things that I'm talking about, and you guys could easily interject and say, no, you know, you should stop talking about this now. It's time for you to move on to something else.
But then it's not a performance, then it's a rehearsal.
Okay, well, here's a question. Because that's an interesting, I don't know, this is just something that I've been thinking about, this idea of performance versus rehearsal, et cetera, and how the context, of course, changes, because once you add an audience, et cetera, we all know.
No, especially if you're not paid as a composer for the rehearsal time, you only pay for the performance. If they want to get paid, you can't do rehearsal.
But everything on paper says it's a performance, and
Yeah.
then it's
If
that
everything
loophole idea.
Yeah, and I
C'est
just
un
think
traitement direct.
that there are too many levels of meta now.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not for any audience, it's not clear. That's why I want to,
So,
my instinct as a theater person would say, let's keep it super simple.
yeah,
And really have a prop that says, this is a composition, you have a score that has been written by these two people,
if that were presented as, you know, before I even were to start to talk, if that were presented as the
title.
The title, which makes, you know, which,
I would still go with a prop. A prop speaks more than a video presentation.
okay.
An
And
actual,
they have to
an
give it
actual
to you.
book, and you open it up, and that's when you talk slides.
Okay.
It's the theatrical gesture.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that I'm looking for, that says, you are not freelance, you're not a free speech person who gives a lecture.
I can make the score and
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
But we
you know,
can have it
you're,
at
you're not,
CFC one with.
you're actually a composition.
in, like,
That's correct.
You're not
you know,
just
that-
an artist who gives a talk.
No, but
That's
that
right.
drawing, the CFC,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
années
That's kind of-
80.
I am more than the sum of my
Bonhomme,
parts.
and
You're more than,
Oh.
you're more than just yourself.
I don't know, I've never
You transcend
given
yourself.
the video my scores.
Oh,
Oui, le beau sketch, c'est lui, là, avec le dessin.
Don't be wrong.
No, but we could do that too. We could tell Louis Noël, j'ai besoin d'une page couverture reliée avec. There could be our biographies also. And then, you know, a couple of things. But I think that the bringing us in the middle is very clumsy. Like if we were to do a pre-piece presentation, and then
Yeah.
maybe make the link with your work within the talk,
Yeah, it's better.
because.
And people will realize, I think we don't need to tell them explicitly.
No, and if it's in the, you know, when it's in the program, and the rumor's already out anyway. I had a meeting at SOCAN last week or two weeks ago, yeah, because I.
Did you give us away?
No, but of course I had a meeting with Deborah Carruthers at SOCAN. Do you know what it's like to sit there and all of a sudden somebody going, Deborah Carruthers.
Whoa.
And that was literally what I got. It was like, I just did the, you know, play down.
Worked.
I could do that. And I said, yes. And he goes, no. And Jim's sitting there going, I'm sure.
That's great.
But
That's,
And I
also
did,
be-
and I
part
did
of your because you tell these stories, you know.
Yeah,
Because-
but that was the funniest thing. It was just like sitting there, and then all of a sudden looking, you know, where somebody looks at somebody else in the room and then looks back at you, and yeah, I could tell that they were trying to figure out, you know, that they'd seen it because we were just talking about licenses for things, and I guess it twigged for someone that they'd seen. You know, and one of them said, did you just license something? Did you just license one of your pieces? And I went, no. Because it's not my piece, it's your piece.
We licensed you.
Yeah, so it just, you know, and one of them went like, oh, okay.